Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about Nicole Kidman and her divorce as if I were her attorney in California, helping with her divorce proceedings, and how I would think through this case and what suggestions I would give, assuming this would be in California. First, I would make this case private, seal immediately everything so that no exposure to any public information would be possible. No prenup, no filing, no addresses. You know, when you file for divorce, the first thing you attach when you have children is a form FL-105 that has all the addresses they used to live in. And that invites people unnecessarily to find out where everyone lives, which is not safe. So that would be step one. Assuming this case is private, then naturally everything would be private. So private judge, private mediator, hiring a forensic accounting firm potentially if need be, depending on the prenup, and then also custody evaluator, forensic accountant, private judge, or private mediator. So not all at the same time, depending on the approach.
Yeah, I created this book to help you understand the divorce process without getting lost or without getting a heart attack. You can buy it on Amazon in all formats, including audio format.
Let's talk about the approach. So I could imagine that Nicole Kidman would want the prenup to be enforceable. And the prenup, as far as I know, states that for every year of marriage, he would get $600,000 if he were to remain sober. But if he were at some point violating any of these provisions, then it negates all of the years. So let's say if they're married for 19 years and year number 18, he were to drink and violate the clause, then that negates all other years. So that's, so far I know, has happened. I don't know if they have cheating clause. I don't know if he cheated, but in California, a cheating clause would be against public policy. He could potentially challenge the prenup. I would review and find out weaknesses about which provisions could be challenged. And just because one provision is potentially challengeable doesn't make the whole prenuptial agreement not valid. So the whole prenuptial agreement would stand. Then custody and visitation. I would find out about Nicole Kidman's schedule, his schedule, to see where there is common ground for visitation. And if her concern would have been that he might not be sober, then it would be important to have a clause that before any visitation happens, he would need to take a SOBRIETY test, meaning it's a breathalyzer test. He breathes, it goes to the app, so she receives notification whether or not he's sober or not, and then if not, the visitation is canceled. The whole future visitations are canceled. Same for 10-panel supervised urine test, random urine test on a weekly basis for, let's say, 54 weeks would be also something I would recommend to include in a stipulation and into an agreement. Also, the children are over 14, so they would have also something to say about how they would like the visitation to be if they want to speak up. If not, then we would look at a schedule that works for everyone. If it's too hard, too complicated to figure out because of the distance, because of the contentious nature of the conversation and the relationship it became, then I would suggest to hire custody evaluator who would speak to each parent, to the children, to school teacher, to therapist, to figure out the best schedule, including holidays, vacations for the children. So that way both parents are not tasked to figure it out if they're not on the same page about how it's going to go. If it's all amicable, typically for children of that age, over 14, and the second child is 17, a week on, week off is a typical schedule, or a schedule that doesn't require too many times shuffling back and forth. like it would be with a 2-2-3 schedule. So we talk about custody, joint legal, potentially sole physical to mother, or joint physical depending on what the schedule would be. The schedule addressing the alcohol problem. Follicle test is something that the court would not be allowed to order, but both parties could agree that he would have to take every 3 months a follicle test to ensure sobriety, especially when it involves children, visitation, going with them in the car, traveling. So it would be very, very important to have that provision also. And then financial, to figure out the weaknesses and the strength of the prenup. And typically in cases where one spouse cheated, I don't know whether it's true or not that he has a younger woman, there is guilt involved, and part of that guilt process is to get out of the marriage as soon as possible. And I would seize the opportunity of that guilt phase, because after the guilt phase is over, there's a prosecutor phase where then he blames her for his actions. And that phase usually lasts within a year. So I would attempt to resolve this matter within 9 months, which is, a good chunk of time to look into the prenup, to look into forensic accounting if needed, to look into custody evaluation, to have private mediation. I would prefer over private judge, because with a private judge proceedings, there is little influence on the outcome. And if private mediation didn't work out, then potentially a private judge proceeding would be the only option. So in private mediation proceeding could be a shuffle mediation, where the mediator is shuffling between 2 Zoom rooms. Nowadays, mediation doesn't even have to be in the same office. It can be all on Zoom. And I have settled so many cases successfully since COVID, since Zoom was the only way to mediate cases, even high conflict that some people couldn't resolve in 5 years. That would be my approach. I don't think I miss anything. If I do miss something, ask me in the comment section down below, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!